Hey, Cubs fans, welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. We are live. If you're joining us, thanks for joining us. I don't know what to say. I'm going to contain my rant because I don't want to open the show with a 5-minute just gong show rant, but I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I'm not panicking, but I'm a little concerned. It's kind of where I'm hovering right now. I am Ron Luce, joined today by Cody Del Mendo. Cody, what are you feeling, buddy, after this?
Dude, today just didn't feel good before the game even started because I didn't like the lineup. You know, we were trying to win a series and David Ross puts fucking Tony Walters or whatever his fucking name is in the lineup. And I mean he wasn't bad, I guess. He did work a really nice walk late in the game. It didn't I don't think the Cubs. Well, yeah, the Cubs didn't score off it, but I mean, you like to see stuff like that. He did. He was one of the few people who were able to make decent contact off Brandon Woodruff. But still, especially after last night, you would think you want Wilson Contreras back in there with Kyle Hendricks today. Sogard, a lot of Cubs Twitter was freaking out over him being the 2 spot. I actually didn't mind it just because he's made decent contact early on. But he didn't really do much. But between him and Bodie, I guess I understand why Sogard's in there because he's a lefty, Woodruff's a righty, but I don't like him in the 2 spot. You know what I mean? That's like the most important spot in the lineup. People like 10 years ago, people were like, oh, like, you know, 3-4, that's where your best hitters go. But like as analytics have become such a huge thing, people are saying like your best hitter is supposed to be like even leadoff or number 2 in the lineup. And Eric Sogard is not the best hitter in our lineup, bro.
Hell no.
I liked Wilson Contreras in the 2 hole. I know he's struggled out the year. He's only I think he has like 1 hit, but I don't know why the Cubs haven't even tried Jock Peterson at number 2 today, just because of he was the one guy who's hit well against Brandon Woodruff.
Yeah.
He came going to that game. He was 2 for 3 or 3 for 3 against him with 2 jacks. That's why Juice took him as his fly W pick. And, you know, like, so before the game even started, I didn't like it because I just didn't like the lineup. And I'm not a guy who bitches and moans and yells at the Cubs Twitter account every day about the lineup, but I don't know. I just didn't like it. I knew it was going to be low scoring because, you know, looking at the numbers last night, no one on the Cubs has done well against Brandon Woodruff, and it showed again today. I was not surprised that we couldn't score a run and went like 18 consecutive innings. If you combine the last, like even the game I was at Monday, if you count the last couple innings of that game and then all of yesterday's game and then today's game, they went like 18 innings without scoring.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it was tough. Lots of pain. Pain's back. If there's anything that's back, it's pain. This is the first heartbreaker of the year. We always have them. We try to move on from them, but this is one we'll look back at. You know, if the Cubs don't make the playoffs, maybe it's one we'll look back at and think, man, if we could have pulled that one out or something like that. But I feel like games with Brewers are going to be like this all season. The Brewers and the Cubs are very similar teams. Both have really good bullpens. Both have a lot of people who strike out. Like, it's quite literally every time these 2 teams play, it's like whoever scores first or whoever gets, you know, hits the big home run, that team wins. And Lorenzo Cain did that twice today. Thankfully, the first one he hit, it was only for 1 run. But I don't know. I guess I'm with you as like, I guess I'm a little concerned about the offense because, yeah, it started out slow and it's like reminiscent of last year's. But again, like today's like a bad example because I've really thought that Brandon Woodruff was just really fucking good, dude.
Oh no, absolutely.
And the Brewers bullpen it's insane that Jock Peterson hit the home run off Devin Williams of all of them. It was Devin Williams, but then we couldn't score off any of the rest of them because Devin Williams, he is kind of under. Like I think he won reliever of the year in 2020. So he's for however many appearances he had last year. Like he's bringing that energy into this season, and the Cubs managed to score off him twice. Yeah, that's incredible to me.
Yeah,
absolutely insane. But we can't score off anyone else. as far as the at-bats, I guess, their bats got better later in the game. I thought the 10th inning, the at-bats were good. We worked some walks, and, Hayward had a huge hit to, drive home the guy who started on second in extras, which I completely forgot was a thing again this year, and I hate. But whatever. I'm kind of rambling on about everything now, man. But I guess I'm with you. I'm a little concerned. I'm not going to, like, scream the season is over, but it's just like – it's frustrating because, like, you had Kyle Hendricks go today. He was just as good as Brandon Woodruff, if not,
absolutely.
Well, definitely not better because Woodruff literally gave up one hit, right?
Yep.
And he, pumping 97, 98 on the edges. Fucking, he just made the Cubs hitters look insane. So,
he was good,
man.
Yeah, he was good. And I think a lot of people forget how good Brandon Woodruff actually is. And I'll be the first one to. I did it in my fantasy baseball draft. I was like, why would I take Woodruff over Burns? Who's the second guy who was dominant last season. I actually ended up taking Burns in my draft. But, like, Woodruff is showing, like, he's not a punk. I mean, he's a good pitcher. And, yeah, it is unfortunate, for what you mentioned. I mean, just quickly for God forbid anybody didn't see this game today. I mean, it was literally more or less 3 players, all the scoring. Lorenzo Cain, top of the 8th. It was deadlocked at nothing. The whole game, as you mentioned, Cody, pitcher's duel in this one. Lorenzo Cain, home run off Alec Mills. That gives the Brewers the 1-0 lead. But then Jock, thank God we had a Jock jam today because that at least gave me a little bit of happiness today, Cody. A little bit.
For sure.
So good to see that. He gets it, ties the game up. But then, as you mentioned, with the runner starting on second, Vogelbach gets on base for the Brewers, and then Lorenzo Cain comes up, hits a 3-run bomb that makes it 4-1 Milwaukee. And then, Chris Bryant scores from second, as you mentioned. Jason Hayward drives him in, but the Cubs do load the bases there in the bottom of that 10th inning, and Ian Happ ultimately flew out to Christian Yelich in left field to end the game. So, it really is tough. But I want to talk about what you mentioned, though, with the pitching just very quickly and add on to it. Because like you said, like, the pitching was really damn good today for both sides. I mean, Kyle Hendricks' start, unfortunately, is going to get lost because Woodruff had a freaking no-hitter going into, the 7th inning, I think, when the Cubs finally got their first hit. But Woodruff's final stat line for the day, 7 innings, 1 hit, clean everywhere else, 8 strikeouts. Kyle Hendricks, not too far off. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, he went 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. That's a damn good day, and that's encouraging. Again, if we're taking something positive from today's game, Kyle rebounding after the struggles on opening day is huge. That is magnificent. Great to see. He didn't really get tattooed all that much, so that was a good thing to see out of Kyle. I agree with you there. He was nearly just as good as Woodruff. Unfortunately, Woodruff was just that freaking good. And, and then just quickly, adding on to what you said, like right now, the top 2 batting averages that were in the lineup today are Chris Bryant and Eric Sogard. They're both 200. That's not quick, Bob. I think I saw a stat earlier today that literally said the Washington Nationals, who just played their 2nd game of the season because of all the COVID bullshit, second game, have already exceeded the Cubs team hits for the season. That's where my concern lies, Cody. And I know you share that concern. But it's just what happened? Because I know, and let's be honest, none of us expected Jock to keep up the pace he had in spring training. Let's just call a spade here. But you were at least fucking hoping that it wouldn't take until, the 6th game for him to get his first hit of the season?
Right.
And at least, thankfully, it was a home run. But, like, oh, the fuck, man. It's tough.
I think that this game, if you want to bitch about the lineup and the hits and everything, again, I think this game is a bad example. Last night, that's a good reason to bitch about the offense. I think that's a great reason because the Cubs were working walks, but they couldn't get that. They couldn't even get a hit to utilize those walks. Today, I just thought Woodruff was great. He was just electric on the mound, and it is what it is, man. It's tough. And I know there's good reason to like be worried and freak out because it is very reminiscent of last year. We saw a lot of this last year. But I don't know. If there's any other silver lining for the offense, it's that they get to play Pittsburgh again. And, hopefully, we get some bats going and get some, some confidence in these guys. I mean, And another thing, you mentioned Chris Bryant with a 200 batting average. I mean, for hitting 200, he hasn't been half bad. I thought he had a great at bat in his last at bat. He got caught looking with I think it was a breaking pitch on the edge, and it was just really tough. But like, I think he's had some really nice at bats, just hasn't translated into a lot of hits. And I'm not making excuses for him. I'm not making excuses for anyone else. But it's just such a small sample size to just completely, think that, this offense is the same as last year. Like I think we just like I said, every time we play the Brewers, it's going to be like this. It's going to be grinded out. It's going to suck. It's going to be painful unless the Cubs win, but it's going to be painful to watch because both teams will just strike each other out. Mm-hmm. And whoever gets the first home run or whoever gets the first hit, whatever it is, the score of the first run, that team will win because both teams are built so similar. Yeah. And we saw a lot of it last year. And the only way that I think it will be any different is if Christian Yelich really rebounds after last season. And he really didn't do much this series. He had a good game today. I'll give him that. Mm-hmm. I think he had 2 hits and a walk. He had a good game today, but like the first 2 games of this series, he was trash. Just straight trash. And he was bad last year against the Cubs. So that would be the only thing if like Christian Yelich like reverts back to like MVP Yelich that we saw 2 years ago.
Sure.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he does that. Right. But also you could say the same thing about the Cubs if they, get acclimated to the season, get into their routines, see guys like Rizzo, Contreras, Jock Peterson, Chris Bryant, like see those guys like just find or get in their routine and just get back to what we've seen them do in the past. And I know that's easier said than done. And it's easy for me to just say that and whatever. And I know I sound like I'm making excuses, but it's just, I just think it's too small of a sample size to just like completely flip out.
Oh, sure.
Come back to me in like 2 weeks. And if Cubs are not even, or if they're below 500 and we still can't hit, then yeah, I'm going to be freaking out a little bit. I'll be joining the pessimistic crowd. That is Cubs Twitter. I will be. I just I think there's a lot more encouraging things from this game today than people are really going to talk about because of how the ending was. Mm-hmm. We've already kind of hit some of them. So I think that says a lot about us, but overall, man, it's just tough because it's a game that you're like, fuck, like you're right there. You could have won, you allow that home run to Kane and then Jock hits that home run in the late innings. And you're like, all right, let's walk it off tonight. Let's get like when Jock hit the home run, I was like, we have to win now. We have to win now because you reeled me back in. Because for 7 innings, I thought we were toast. Yeah. And then he reeled me back in, Ron. Mm-hmm. He reeled me back in. And then of course I got hurt again. So man, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, they must have thrown that fishing line out to multiple people today because I, too, got reeled back into this one. As soon as that Jock home run, I'm like, okay, Jock, I see you, big pimp. I got excited. I was ready. I was like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. And especially like you mentioned, I think people forget how good Devin Williams is as a relief pitcher. Like he is one of the nothing like day game heartbreak to let us know Cubs season is back, boys. That is 100% true, Marty. You're 100% Marty. Spot on.
You just said that in the comments. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Ron.
No. I think it's fitting, right? Because it's kind of along the lines of what we're talking about here, and like that is a huge, to me, a good silver lining of today. And I love, and there will probably be another video, whether it's from our personals or from the Cubs on Tap account at some point this evening. But I love that little, bat spike he had going on there. That gave me I kind of got the chills a little bit. That gave me some Nick Castellanos vibes. Like that felt good. I like that. Like, give me some attitude. You're excited. You got a piece of one off arguably the best relief pitcher in baseball right now that nobody talks about. Like
exactly.
Good shit. I like that. And then like you said, can we hold on? Here, and this is my last thought of this bitching rant about day game heartbreak. Can we ship Lorenzo Cain back to fucking Kansas City, please?
Yeah.
Because you said it perfectly. That might have to be the name of this episode is Lorenzo Payne because
Lorenzo Payne.
The dude's the only reason they won today. Like they were like really? You said, like I mean,
And
Yelich,
their offense, like we're sitting here bitching about the Cubs offense. Their offense was trash this series too.
yeah.
On Monday, Narvaez, the only reason they scored runs.
Mhm.
Yesterday, freaking Travis Shaw, 3-run
Mm-hmm.
home run in the first. They got another home run from Narvaez later in the game, but they didn't even need that home run. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then today, Lorenzo Cain twice.
Yep.
Home runs, all home runs. They didn't manufacture anything.
Yeah, and
Nothing.
I was gonna say, just to add to that point that you just mentioned, like I just looked at their lineup right now. Kane is batting 250, but that's because he was 2 for 5 today. So coming in, he was worse than that. He had to have been, mathematically, at least if my brain's working properly. Yelich is batting 318 after today because he went 3 for 4. But then outside of that, outside of Narvaez, everybody on the team is 200 and below. So they're in the same boat, like you said, Cody, as the Cubs. That offense doesn't look much different. It's just fucking Lorenzo Cain. I want go let him torture the White Sox again, like he did when he was in Kansas City. Please, like I don't need that in my life. It's bad enough that the Brewers are like. Here's how I see the Brewers, right? Like, I think we can all agree. Every Cubs fan hates St. Louis, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean that's kind of the mantra here. Cubs on tap. Fuck St. Louis. You know, it's true. But like the Brewers are just that. How do I put this? The St. Louis Cardinals are that prize fighter. You know what I mean? They're the top in the, that you got to go against, that you got to get over the hump to beat them. Like that's how I view the St. Louis rivalry with the Cubs. The Brewers are just that little shit bag that he's good enough to hang around and just annoy the piss out of you. But then he somehow wins and you're like, what the fuck just happened? That's to me what the Brewers are. They honestly make me more mad sometimes than the Cardinals do. Because at least I'm like conditioned to know that the Cardinals are somehow magically going to be good every year because that organization just churns out talent out of nowhere. Like Joe Blow comes up that I've never heard of a day in my life and becomes an all-star. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's great. But like, God, the Brewers piss me off so much. They honestly might make me more mad on a regular basis than the Cardinals do. I'll be 100% honest because
Go ahead.
I was going to say, just like Lorenzo Cain pisses me off. Christian Yelich pisses me off. It pisses me off that they got Yelich for fucking nothing. We talk about the Arenado trade. In hindsight, the top prospect in that deal, I don't even know if he's starting for Miami right now.
Lewis Brinson. Yep.
Yeah. He was the big piece in that deal. The fuck out of here. That was a steal of a trade for the Brewers, and we all know.
Derek Jeter to the just banished from all existence.
Hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel you. I said last night when I did this with Juice, I was like, I feel like the Brewers are kind of like the White Sox of the NL Central. Like Milwaukee fans really, really, really love to hate the Cubs, and White Sox fans really love to hate the Cubs. And for me personally, I just like nothing. I loathe nothing more than St. Louis. Now, Milwaukee, like when we've played over the last couple of years, sure, yeah, it's definitely heightened because they play so many more games. So, but like other than that, though, like that's why it's like comparison to me because it's just like, Brewers fans really hate the Cubs more because they know the Cubs flood their fucking ballpark every time the Cubs come to town. Like the fucking Brewers take advantage of Cubs fans coming to town. They hike their prices up and everything. Hell, they don't even let people in Illinois buy their fucking tickets when they go on sale. You know what I mean? So all that aside though,
they're like the Trashville Predators. They're like the Trashville Predators, the Hawks fans. Right.
Like again, it's heightened over the last couple of years for sure because they've been a competitive team. And, it's you look at their roster and you're like, how is this team good? But a lot of it is just because they have a lot of guys you just never really heard of. But they've done, if anything, they've done just as well as St. Louis has throughout St. Louis's history, just in this little bit of an era that they are in now of developing talent and, finding these arms to just come and be in their bullpen. Like people every year talk about, the Brewers don't have any starters. Well, they developed one in Woodruff. People are up in arms about Burns. Thankfully, we didn't have to see him this series. But after that, even Freddie Peralta, he was outside of the walks last night. He was pretty good.
Right.
So they've done a really good job of developing talent and just kind of always being there. They could be so much better if they were a big market team and actually wouldn't spend money. I know they spent money on Christian Yelich, and because of that, they're probably not going to spend any more money on anyone anytime soon. But
again, they've
right. Again, though, like they've spent the money in the right spots. And again, they've developed players. So I get like when we talked about like Picota and like Fangraphs predictions, it's not that I didn't think that the Brewers were bad. I just thought that they didn't really do anything in the offseason to really get any better, sign Colton Wong, whatever. But you always have to take into fact with the players that are already on their team that have been good, that proven to be good over the last 3-4 years. And again, I think that they're going to be right there all summer. They're going to be annoying. And like I said, when they play the Cubs, it's going to come down to whoever scores first and whoever freaking can freaking hit more home runs, because that's just what it feels like every time they play the Brewers. It's just like you have to grind through the game and freaking just try and hit the ball out of the ballpark, because every time you just get a base hit, the Cubs will ground into a double play next, or just pop out, or you strike out consecutive times. And it's just like, you got to just get on them, hit it over the fence. That way you get a run right away. I hate that style of baseball. That's a reason why a lot of fans aren't watching anymore. But the Brewers' arms are so good that it's like, you got to score as quickly as you can against those guys before they get settled in. And Brandon Woodruff, he was settled in right away today, man. Like there was no inning where it looked like the Cubs had any idea what they're doing. So maybe when he finally came out, it was just like a breath of fresh air for someone like Jock Peterson, I guess, to just hit that freaking home run to tie it up. But it's just tough.
Yeah, it is tough. And just to add to that point that you made, I think you brought up a very good point, because kind of went under the radar, I think, just because of it being so early in the season. But what a lot of people didn't see was that the Brewers made a trade with the Atlanta Braves yesterday, or 2 days ago. My days.
I think it was yesterday.
I think it was yesterday. Orlando Arcia, good riddance. He ruined Kyle Hendricks' opening day perfect game last year. Fuck him. But he's gone. He's to the Atlanta Braves. But they got a nice little package in return for Arcia. And I'm actually kind of surprised the amount of assets they got. They got 2 relievers that are, one of them is already like the number 17 prospect now in their top 30 from the Braves, as well as another guy. I'm looking for names here. So the 2 pitchers, a pair of right-handed relievers, Chad Sobotka and Patrick Weigel, one of the 2 ways to pronounce it. But then they also added Pablo Sandoval and Johan Camargo as a part of the trade. And then I believe Ender Enciarte also came as well. So they had a nice depth outfielder who's very good defensively. I think he's won a Gold Glove, if I remember correctly, Enciarte. But so we talk about this Brewers team being a bitch to play right now. Like they might be just as big of a bitch down the road, because like you said, they're developing talent better as an organization now. They're not having to go overpay for guys. Like you don't see them having to go get the big, Jason Hayward level free agent signings, because like you said, they paid Yelich because they got him in a trade. Kane is really the biggest free agent they brought in probably the last 10 years, realistically, that I can think of off the top of my head. But they're almost, who they're almost kind of starting to remind me of? They're almost starting to remind me of the fucking Tampa Bay Rays, if you really think about it. Because they bring in these guys in free agency that are like on cheap deals. Like Avisail Garcia is a perfect example. Colton Wong is a perfect example. Like they bring Travis Shaw is another good example. They get Dan Vogelbach, they just get these guys from places, and they somehow, Craig Counsell's like crazy. We joke about like Kyle Hendricks with the professor brain. Craig Counsell has that professor brain too. And he just like puts these guys in the perfect spots, and they got like the one superstar that they paid, and they got a really like underrated good pitching staff, and that's what they roll with. And it's like, as someone who's followed the Rays for years, because I have family that live in Tampa, like the Milwaukee Brewers are starting to remind me of the Tampa Bay Rays, and that scares the shit out of me, because if they get anywhere near as good at developing talent as the Rays have been, and like finding talent, they're, like you said, they're just going to be a pain in the ass to play every single year. It does not matter how good or bad the Cubs are.
Yep. Yeah, the people want to say, the Cubs have this luxury, being a big market team and whatever, but people have also been bitching about how we can't develop our farm system. And, I don't want to have that conversation, because I do think the Cubs farm system is better than what the people on the outside are saying. But
100%.
For sure, the Brewers have done a really good job, especially with the pitching side, and that's a reason why the Cardinals have always been in it. Is they've been able, their farm system has always been able to develop pitching, and that's kind of what Milwaukee's done. Because last year, I know they had expanded playoffs, but like Milwaukee could not hit for shit last year, and they got in the playoffs too. Right. You know, and I expect a lot of the same this year. We saw it these last two games. They just, someone hits a home run and then their pitching just doesn't allow anything. It is insane. Now, will they be able to keep up with teams outside of this division? I don't know. I don't think this division is as bad as like fucking Fangraph said, where the winner of the division is going to win 81 games, but I don't think they're anywhere near as good as like, the Dodgers. I know San Diego's kind of off to a slow start. Tatis just got hurt. He's going to be out a while, but they still have the pitching. They're going to be there, and then you talk about the NL East with the Mets, Nationals, and even the Marlins are kind of on the rise. The Braves obviously right there. Like, do I think the Brewers can keep up with all those teams? Not maybe some of them, but not all of them. Right. And I think that's the biggest thing about this division is just like all like the Cardinals, Brewers, and the Cubs. They're all basically the same fucking team. Mm-hmm. And it's just going to be a freaking dogfight. And whoever gets in the postseason, if they're going to do anything, they're just going to have to get like Washington Nationals hot, 2019 hot to have a chance, because that these teams are just going to, it's just going to be, they're just going to beat up on each other all year. That's what they did last year. And then people were like, oh, 4 teams got in the playoffs, and then all of them lost in the first round because they're all freaking tired from beating up on each other, even if though it was 60 games. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's literally what's going to be, unless one of these teams makes a big move at the deadline or gets more contributions out of someone or one or two players that call someone up that no one's ever heard of, and they decide to just be God. Like, right. That's the only way that one team might be better than the other. And so far, the Cardinals, Brewers, and Cubs just kind of look the same. Again, we played 6 games, so there's not much to really tell off it. But that's probably why those projections from Fangraphs and Picoda were the way they were. Right. My biggest thing at this point now is, like, we were going into the season, we were like, we kept talking about how we were worried about Cubs starting rotation and that mainly. And now it's reversed to like how it was last year, where we're worried about the offense and the starting rotation. Suddenly, outside of, Kyle Hendricks opening day and Albert Alzolay yesterday, looks pretty good. One time to the rotation, but still looks pretty good.
Yeah, there's something encouraging there, at least to hang our hat on, at least with the rotation so far. And I agree. I think, and I know nobody's talking about the Reds right now, who are technically in first place in the division, partially because Nicholas Castellanos is literally the hottest player in baseball right now. I think he just hit his 4th home run of the season already today. Like, stupid.
He started like this last season too. He started out hot in 2020 as well.
Yeah, so I mean, they'll probably hang around too, but like you said, like, I really do think those 4 teams are just going to kick the shit out of each other all season long, and somebody's got to just find a way to get hot, probably late in the season too. It's going to be like late July, maybe even like late August.
I need to see a little bit more out of the Reds for me to, like, I guess, kind of believe it, because like losing Bauer is big, and like they didn't really make a move to like replace him. I know Castillo is good, Tyler Mahle is okay. Or Malley, or whatever. Sonny Gray is still there, but like they have the offense. I'll give them that, because when you got Nick Castellanos, we've seen him. We wish he was here. Whatever. They have the offense. Eugenio Suarez, he's coming off like a tough year last year. Joey Votto's older, but still like a veteran bat that you never want to have to face if you're a Cubs fan. 100%. So like, I kind of feel bad for leaving them out, but like, that's just what the Reds are. I always forget about them because they've been so irrelevant since like 2013. And I guess last year they made the playoffs, but didn't even score a run, I don't think, in either of their playoff games last year. So again, it's just, today sucks. Today is full of pain. Thankfully, they get to play a Pirates tomorrow, like 12:30. We got Jake on the mound. I know we're going on the road, but like, Pirates just got murdered by the Reds. Hopefully the Cubs get going out on the road, kind of shifts the juju a little bit. Jake's coming off a nice start. And I'm hoping, like, those at bats we had in the 10th inning today were, again, they weren't. It didn't lead to runs, but they were like they made they came down to like the Cubs were down to their last strike more than 10 times in the bottom of the 10th inning, and they just grinded those at bats. And I have to feel like if the Cubs keep doing that, good things will come. Like that, you don't do that and not get rewarded at least some part of the time. And it's a lot to hope for, but I think that they are capable of, riding the ship a little bit on the offense. I don't know what's going on with it though, man. Like I thought in that first series with the Pirates, we were able to, make solid contact. We manufactured runs a shit ton, but in this series we weren't able to do that. But we also couldn't get any hits, so it's kind of hard to manufacture runs when you can't even get hits. I mean, Jason Hayward's RBI got in the 10th inning. It was like the first run the Cubs got that wasn't a home run since Monday. So I mean, like it's just gotta flip the switch back to what we were doing against Pittsburgh, man. I know it's easier. I think that's easier said than done, but also it's Pittsburgh. I don't know, but I think we've said a shit ton of times, man. We got to play well against Pittsburgh, and if the Cubs are going to be in this division, they have to play well against Pittsburgh because those should be easy wins. I understand losing, one of each series, but at least winning 2 out of 3 in those series, and sweeping some as the season moves along, whatever. It's going to be important. Like whoever plays the Pirates the best, it might come out to be who wins the division. So
no, well said. And I think that's a good time too for us to transition here and put this one in the rear view. Like you said, they go on the road now to play the Pirates tomorrow. So let's get into that, shall we? I think this is a good opportunity to do that. As you mentioned, the Cubs are on the road tomorrow. It's a weird part of the schedule. So they're on the road tomorrow, and then they're off on Friday, and then they conclude the series with the Pirates in Pittsburgh Saturday and Sunday. But nonetheless, tomorrow's game is just kind of an anomaly. So here we go. The Cubs, as we mentioned, will travel and play the Pittsburgh Pirates on Thursday, April 8th. It is a 12:35 p.m. local time start here in Chicago, so nice early game. For anybody that's paying attention, it is at PNC Park in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. If you are in the Cubs market, as always, $6.70 to score if you're trying to listen to the game, and if you're watching it, it is on marquee. And if you are watching or listening in the Pirates market, KDKA FM 93.7 is their radio network. AT&T Sportsnet Pittsburgh is the TV. And then this game will be on MLB Network, but only if you are out of either one of those markets. So worth mentioning there. But as you mentioned, Cody, you kind of foreshadowed it perfectly. Jake is back on the mound for the Cubs. Looked really good in his first outing. I got to be there in person for that one. And it's kind of funny because literally tomorrow's game is a pitching rematch of Saturday. Tyler Anderson will pitch for the Pirates, same guy that pitched when Jake and he squared off on Saturday at Wrigley Field. So he is obviously 0-1 because of that 5-1 loss to the Cubs, game number 2 of the season. So, Cody, what are you expecting for tomorrow? And I mean, what gives against this Pirates team?
Well, I mean, last year we were so bad against left-handed pitching. From what I remember, whenever they went up against Tyler Anderson, I remember the Pirates scored first, and Cubs fans were freaking out already on Saturday in game 2 of the year. And then the Cubs they manufactured runs that day, and were able, just kind of let Jake have a comfortable afternoon. I think that, Jock Peterson getting that home run today is huge. I think he'll be in the lineup tomorrow, just based off the confidence that he might have got today. And if he wants, to be an everyday guy, he wants to go up against lefties, he's got to show it, man. There's another opportunity for him tomorrow to do that. But I mean, I just think it's, when you lose 2 in a row, it's just all you got to think about is, just got to stop the streak, man. Got to get back on the winning end. We win tomorrow. They're 4-3, and we're feeling good going into an off day. And then you can, worry about the Saturday and Sunday games. But yeah, man, it's Pittsburgh, man. Like I said, we got to win these games. The Cubs have seen this guy, so hopefully they hit a little bit better off him this time around.
Mhm.
I hate his windup in delivery. It sucks. It should be illegal. He should be arrested for it. But yeah, I think that the Cubs should handle him well, and hopefully Jake builds off his last start.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you there, man. I'm really hoping Jake looks good just like he did on Saturday. Hopefully he settles in a little quicker in the first inning. Obviously, that was kind of the one hiccup really of that start that he had on Saturday. Otherwise, he looked excellent in innings 2 through 6. But I agree with you. Anderson, they've seen him already this season. They just saw him, less than a week ago. So, he's what you're getting with him. And honestly, speaking of the windup, I'm glad you mentioned that. I hope the Cubs can get base runners because guess what? Anybody that's half a damn good at running the bags can probably get a stolen base off him. We saw it on Saturday. Javi stole 2 bases pretty much in a row. And Javi didn't even get the best jump on the first one and still beat it by, half a second with no problem. So get base runners against this guy. And I want to see them move the runners again. Like I was enjoying that in that opening series. They started to generate some offense because of it. So hopefully we see that. Hopefully they can get on as you mentioned, on the winning track. And I think again, it's going to take the fans, and it's even going to take us here, Cubs on Tap, a big adjustment. Going from 60 to 162 is insanely different. So, like you said, we're 6 games in. You're 500. That's fine. If you really consider it, like the Cubs could win the division at 88 wins, and you're technically only 6 games above 500. They're fine. They just got to figure it out. They're getting on track. They're doing some good things, like things that in years past we bitched about this team. They're actually starting to kind of fix. So at least, hey, good game against Pittsburgh tomorrow. We'll have a good series against them, and then we can worry about the rest of the schedule as it keeps moving forward. So, Cody, Andrew Chafin again, fly the W player. Looked good today, too.
You look good today. I think he gave up a hit to Yelich, but he got 2 big outs to keep the Cubs in it. Him and we didn't mention it, but him and Kimbrel were the bright spots. If you want to take something bright from this game, Cubs bullpen outside of Brandon Workman, who I had high hopes for. This just one outing, but he wasn't good on opening day either. He hasn't looked what I was hoping for so far. So if there's someone in the bullpen that I'm kind of on right now, it's him. But I do like Chafin and Kimbrel at the back end. Dan Winkler's also been kind of a surprise to me too. Tepera has been all right. Our bullpen has been decent. It sucks that we gave up a 3-run shot to freaking Lorenzo Cain today, but hopefully Brandon Workman can figure it out because he was the closer for the Red Sox last year, I'm pretty sure. So he has late inning, high leverage experience. Yeah, I'm taking Andrew Chafin.
I love it. He looks good. No, honest to God, I know we kind of joked in the beginning of the season. You're like, I'm riding with Chafin, and then literally ever since you said that,
all season, man,
he's looked unreal in every appearance that he's had out of the pen. He strikes out every batter he faces almost. He's been unreal. Yep. So honestly, what started as a joke per se, maybe a little bit, because we just like him because of he's just that
stash.
Dude.
That's it.
Fuck, he might be a good pick all season if he strikes out.
Literally has the peak performance dad bod. You know what I mean? That and the stash. He just looks like a guy's guy, a guy that you just, like I said to Juice last night, a guy you just have a couple beers with at the bar and probably bitch about whoever sucked in the game that you're watching or whatever. He's a very relatable guy, and that's why I like him at least.
I need him at one point in this season to either enter a game or leave a game, not during the game, but coming to or from the ballpark. And there needs to be pictures, but I needed him in a Budweiser 1980s throwback T-shirt, a pair of jorts, some New Balances, and a trucker hat. That's what I need. That is what I need. That is peak Andrew Chafin, and I'm gonna frame it and I'm gonna put it on my wall. Because that is magic. And I'm going to find a way to get him to autograph it too. And that is going to be a prized possession because, yes, peak performance. Love Andrew Chafin. And he's been really good. Him and Kimbrel, absolutely by far the best 2 bullpen arms so far this season. They both look unhittable, which is super encouraging. I know it's, again, 6 games, but remember, 6 games into last season, we were concerned about Kimbrel. We're not concerned about Kimbrel right now.
Yeah, so. He's looked great. Yeah, they're again. I think I don't know if we touched on everything that was positive, but the bullpen and pitching has just been incredible. Our defense has been pretty good overall. I know Brian had an error in the first inning today, but overall, it's all been, as far outside of the offense, it's all been pretty good. And it's just like Kyle Hendricks deserved to win today, but couldn't score. So sucks, bro.
It is what it is, and as you mentioned, the Cubs do fall officially today. Just to remind everybody, 4-2. Hader was the winning pitcher. Workman was the losing pitcher, and I believe it was Boxberger that got the save there at the end. Yes, it was Boxberger. So, but yeah, man, I'll tell you what. For my fly the W player, I'm feeling pretty good about this one. He had a good day against him on opening, or not on opening day, but in that game against Anderson at Wrigley.
Mm-hmm.
He has a 364 career average against him. And he's got a couple of long balls off him. I'm going to go KB. I'm going to ride with him again. Because
he had a home run off him on Saturday, didn't he?
Sure did.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to ride with KB because, like you mentioned today, yes, maybe KB's stat line didn't look great today, but he had some really good at-bats. He really did. He looks like he's seeing the ball well. He looks like he's very dialed in. He looks like a different player than 2020. Like, he looks more comfortable this year, and I think that's going to pay off in the long run. I think we're going to see KB start to heat up as April starts to creep closer to May. I really think KB is going to hit a switch, and hopefully that's the kind of effort that, you mentioned earlier, that you need that one guy to really kind of turn it on.
If the Cubs offense flips to like anything that we saw, 16, 17, even most of 18,
even part of 19.
In part of 19, it will put this team leaps and bounds ahead of everyone in its division. That's literally the only thing. If we get this kind of pitching and this kind of defense out of everyone else, this team moves up to another level if this offense figures it out, man.
Absolutely.
It's just, again, easier said than done. So,
oh, sure. Yeah, well, and thankfully, I mean, we still got, another 156 games, I think. So, thankfully, there is time.
There's time.
But I'll tell you what, man, despite the loss, we hope you enjoyed the episode. This was a fun one, Cody. Always a pleasure doing these with you. Do want to remind everybody, Cubs on Tap is the official Cubs podcast of the On Tap Sports Network. You can check out all of our work over at www.ontapsportsnet.com and at OnTapSportsNet on all social media platforms. You can also follow our podcast-specific account, Cubs on Tap, which is at Cubbies, Cubbies, on Tap. And that's on both Twitter and Instagram. Cody's been absolutely crushing it over on the Instagram side, so do be sure to check that out. Once again, the On Tap Sports Network, www.ontapsportsnet.com and at OnTapSportsNet. Check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. All right, Cody. Well, I think we summed it up pretty well. Cubs are going to see the Pirates tomorrow. Hopefully they can rebound. What do you say we get out of here the only way we know how to, my guy? Let's go,
For
Cubs.
sure. Go Cubs.